And that situation still exists in the United States today, where a person that really understands what's going on just can't get their idea out because the alternative science and medical fields have been co-opted by the intelligence services.
And he converted this little engine to run on water. This is many, many years ago. And he used it for several years. And somehow the news got out, and one day he got visitors, and he was told to dump the engine or else. 3 weeks later, the man was dead. And the coroner's finding was that he fell off the back of a train. He was drunk. Now, it happened that he didn't drink.
Even Dr. Townsend T. Brown, the electrogravitic research scientist, has on his 16-millimeter film of his lab test, which we've got here, he has guys with the black suits and black hats come into the place. You can see where the legends come from. I mean, these guys come in and they look like, you know, bad Bart the black man. I mean, it's classic, and these things do happen.
There is no progressive science in a world where every scientific idea is evaluated for its military potential.
Power, or energy, control of energy equals power in the new world order that is emerging. If you control the energy, the way we get around, the way we get electricity, the way we have our TVs and video cameras and stuff, if you do the control of the energy, then you've got control of the people.
The US Air Force denies that Area 51 exists, despite footage of the base and Russian satellite photos that we have obtained, which clearly show hangars and a huge runway stretching across the lake bed. In the face of constant denials of its existence, the base has expanded since the 50s, with several passenger jets now landing every day, carrying hundreds of workers to the base. With this level of personnel, the few buildings that can be observed above the ground are merely the cover for a large underground facility. Security at the base is unprecedented and secrecy is paramount. Since the late 50s, the military has sequestered hundreds of thousands of acres of land that adjoin the base. The exclusion zone around Area 51 now stretches to 26 miles.
Government secrets, even some information on you hidden away.
Carried around by trucks like these you might have seen on local roads or highways, but do you know where they're going? Como 4's Mary Nam traveled across the country to find the answers.
When it comes to protecting national secrets, the government goes deep underground, a virtually indestructible mine filled with files, patents, and secrets. Iron Mountain is one of the most protected places on Earth. The Yellow Gates guard an abandoned mine, 3 miles long and 2 miles wide, 220 feet underground, with vault after vault of historic treasures and government secrets.
What we have in here, these rooms are between 25 and 30,000 square feet each, about 600 feet long. This is where we store boxed premium hard copy at this underground facility.
Just paper, the good old-fashioned paper document.
That is correct.
It's what's on those papers that makes them incredibly important. This is where the government keeps patents of countless inventions. The Social Security Administration is here. If you're a retired federal employee, your file is down here too. There's an endless maze of dark corridors that stretch into blackness. There are dark secrets in the mountain too. The charred evidence from United Flight 93 brought down by terrorists on 9/11 is heavily guarded in one of the underground vaults. It's no secret who their biggest client is.
The biggest client by number of employees would be sections of the federal government.
There are branches of the government I've never seen before, like the U.S. Investigation Services. But Dowdy is very tight-lipped about who does what and what's stored within these walls.
Do you ask them, what do you want us to hold for you?
We do. And actually our customers are very forthright in telling us whether they want us to publicize their names or they don't want anybody to know their names.
95% of their customers demand complete secrecy, and guarding the information is Iron Mountain's greatest strength.
Iron Mountain is like an underground city. They have their own water, their own sewage, their own fire department, and their own security team. And management tells me they have never, ever had a security breach.
The world is speeding up too fast now, Eddie. We can barely hold on as it is.
You're right, it's not working. That's why we gotta try something else. Not bury the technology, but let it out.
You let it out. But you let it out at a pace the world can absorb.
Can you imagine what it would be like if you could split water and run it into your engines? You could put water in your fuel tank to fly airplanes, power stations.
Back in the 70s, Stan Meyer set out single-handedly to solve America's energy problems. He decided to do it using water, the world's most abundant storehouse of hydrogen, which is a far more powerful fuel than oil. For 15 years, Meyer has been fighting to get his inventions taken seriously.
Most inventors have to be a loner. You have to be somewhat thick-skinned and don't rely on other people to support you, because they will not. More times than not, an invention is really stolen from the inventors. Even in my prior development of high technology, I've had patents taken from me. I learned from the School of Hard Knocks to be very cautious.
Unlike electrolysis, his device doesn't use up large amounts of electric current, nor does it produce an enormous amount of waste heat. For 20 years, he has been refining a method to fracture water, which produces vast amounts of hydrogen on demand. There is no question that the gas coming off in such abundance is hydrogen. Meyer ignites it to produce a high-temperature flame able to cut through metal.
Stanley Meyer has faced a lot of difficulties. He's 3 times tried to launch the device and produce press conferences at the technical press round, but he's been almost universally slated. In the early days, very much so, they just ridiculed the whole idea. He's getting a little more notice now because some scientists are getting interested. But by and large, science is very intolerant, particularly modern science.
As with Tesla, Griggs and others, Meyer's claims are so far outside the received scientific wisdom that they've been ignored by the majority of the scientific establishment. Even so, the US Patent Office dragged their feet for 3 years before granting patents on the hydrogen-producing device. Since then, against massive resistance, he's managed to get patents established throughout Europe and Japan. But the hydrogen machine was only the first step towards Meyer's ultimate dream. If he gets it right, this application of his technology would change the 21st century in the same way that the Wright brothers and Carl Benz transformed the 20th. He is currently modifying a beach buggy to run on nothing but water. It doesn't have a petrol tank or even a hydrogen container. It has just a tank of water. He's invented a device called a water splitter to replace the spark plug. As the water is injected into the engine, Meyer claims it's fractured into hydrogen and oxygen and then burned as fuel. Meyer is working on a kit to modify any engine. He hopes to demonstrate it on this car within 12 months.
And of course, the blessing to the use of the water as a fuel source, that on combustion, the byproduct is water mist. So we're even solving the environmental pollution problem at the same time that we're using water to maintain the industrial basis of the world.